Panova, let me begin with you about this. How much do you think Secretary of State, Mr. Tillerson, well known for his interaction with Russia, still would be able to improve, quote unquote, as his boss, President Trump, would suggest, given the recent scandal going on in Washington? Professor Panova.
Well, once again, well, also glad to see you and be able to talk to you.
Yes.
I've been missing you being in Vladivostok. So if we talk about recent developments in Russia-U.S. relations and possibility to improve those, taking the anti-Trump stance that the elites in United States and actually in ally countries are taking, I should say that they will not be immediate, and they cannot be immediate huge improvements in the relations, because we already saw Michael Flynn, who had to resign, and this was obviously well, let's say a pretext for resignation. His talks to Russian Ambassador Kislyak before Trump took office. But from what I know, and Flynn had a record of not being liked by the establishment for other things as well. So Russia was rather a pretext. But of course, if quite a few people, and I would certainly agree with that, would say if it was preliminary talks with someone from Europe, nothing like this would have happened. So the scandal would have been kind of faded away. They would have to wait for another reason to actually take the guy down.
Yeah.
But this also sends a signal to Trump that they should be cautious step-by-step improvements, because Trump is being under scrutiny now, and it is very profitable, let's say, to exploit anti-Russian sentiment at the moment. And taking those two together, I think I would not be expecting any breakthrough in the near future, because of that.
Not only not breakthroughs, but also maybe further tightening up of the relations. I don't know what your feeling would be, Mr. Rubin. The lawmakers, both sides, bipartisan, right now in Capitol Hill, talking about passing a bill in which would not allow the president to lift the sanctions against Russia without the approval of the Capitol Hill. Further than that, there are other things that it seems that the White House is having so much difference with the other parties in Washington. What's your feeling about possibility to improve ties or even setbacks now?
Well, first the policy, then the politics. And on the policy, there are really serious issues at play. For example, Russia just violated the INF treaty, deploying cruise missiles. Secretary Tillerson needs to express a real rebuke of that. There are also areas where we need to be partnering and figuring out how to fight terrorism. Certainly on Iran, the nuclear agreement was a partnership, but there are also issues of Ukraine and Crimea, Syria, a lot on the plate on the policy. But the politics, it is getting very strange, frankly, right now here in Washington to watch this. And this press conference yesterday with President Trump assigning blame to the media, yet he was the one that fired Michael Flynn. And the context between Michael Flynn and Russia related to sanctions, if we were to change the country and have witnessed Michael Flynn, an incoming national security advisor, speaking with North Korea at the time that the Obama administration was imposing sanctions, people would be very concerned. So there's a legitimate problem here. The backdrop, of course, is Russian involvement in influencing the American elections. Bipartisan consensus is that is what happened. The intelligence community uniformly says that's what happened, and that can't just be swept under the rug. So these concerns are real. They're not anti-Russia. They're anti-having American democracy impacted by a foreign power.
All right, let me come back to you, and I need both of you to be brief because we need to have several rounds of discussions. Professor Panova, does Russia feel being, in a way, put into a strange position because mainly internal politics inside the U.S. being played out of proportion, and Russia was this unfortunate quote-unquote victim?
Well, on the one hand, there was an objective deterioration of relations with the previous administration before that, but this is obviously true that it's now caught up into internal political struggle in the America, and it's already anti-Trump sentiment during the pre-election time was already being funny with Russia's involvement in activities, kind of making Russia way too powerful was a bit funny for all the Russians, but that's how it was caught strangely in the middle of internal power politics of the United States. True.
So you think the relations is going to get worse before there's any chance getting better? Professor Panova, briefly.
I should say, I hope they would not be getting worse. That there is a way to kind of make them flow, at least be stable. Let's hope for that. But Trump might be not willing to compromise further his political capital, and he might be actually willing to abide by kind of to stay in power to take harsher stance. But we'll still have to see that.
Okay, Mr. Rubin. Let it flow. Let it flow for a while before we go to the real discussion by the Russian counterpart of you here in the discussion. Is that possible?
Is it possible for relations to get worse? No. I think, and it's very interesting. I served in the Obama administration where President Obama was very intent on working with Russia on a variety of issues, and he got criticized significantly by Capitol Hill for that work. So there are areas of opportunity. It has to be very clear what those opportunities are related to our security. We've discussed some of them. Certainly on nuclear weapons, there is a real need to ensure that we don't have a new nuclear arms race. That won't be good for ourselves, any country around the world. Very destabilizing potentially, and I think there's real opportunity for cooperation. There were reports, however, that President Trump and President Putin did not have a good conversation about the nuclear arms treaty, the most recent one, New START, and about a follow-on agreement, and that is very concerning from a security perspective. So we really need to make sure that our national security team is in place, but in the backdrop that these questions about Russian involvement in our election are taken care of, that there's an independent review of it, because without that getting put to bed, we're going to have this dogging us for some time.
Right, indeed. Before we go, I do want to have both of you to shed some light on some crucial issues. Only 15 seconds for every one of you. We have a lot of issues: NATO, Syria, Iran, and also what about the North Korean nuclear issue? These are all popping up. U.S., Russia, big player there. Any chance these two can cooperate on these? Very briefly from you, Professor Panova, your judgment.
Well, I should say, in order for either of those issues to be resolved, non-proliferation, North Korea, Syria, counterterrorism, the two should cooperate. There's no other way. Otherwise, it would not be resolved.
Well, Mr. Rubin, your judgment. Cooperate possible?
Yes, there's historic precedence for this. The United States and the Soviet Union had many conflicts, but also did negotiate on core national security issues. We're going to have to, if we're going to bring stability on the Korean Peninsula, nuclear issues, and in Syria, but we have to still take care of these other issues in the background. Otherwise, it will weaken those efforts.